Today we're going to be solving a problem that I actually run into fairly frequently, and that is I want to add up the total number of minutes and seconds and hours that is my actual videos. So what I usually do is I'll export all my videos and I'll upload them to YouTube or whatever it is my host, and they'll give me this like timestamp here, 5 minutes and 23 seconds, and I go, I need to add that up all together, right? And it's just an HTML. So what I've done is I've sort of replicated what YouTube generally gives me. They have like a list item or a div or something like that. And then there's going to be some sort of DOM node that it's either like a span with the class of time, and inside of that, I'll say 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Or usually with YouTube, they have a data dash time attribute that is a string containing the minutes and the seconds of it. So what I wanted to do is to figure out how do I pull these out of the DOM, convert them to numbers, make them into minutes and seconds, add it all up, figure out how many hours, minutes, and seconds there are totally, and then finally console.log those actual values. So we are going to be using reduce in this one. And I'm going to show you how to first do it with map and reduce, and then we'll look at how do you just make it in one single reduce. So we'll go into our script tag here, and I'm just going to open this up. There's not much to look at for this one. It's kind of ugly, but we're really just concerned with these data dash time attributes here. So first thing that we want to do is we want to select all of those nodes. So we're going to say const time nodes equals document.querySelector all. And we're going to be looking at not just a list item, because you don't know if it's just going to be a list item. We want to say anything with the data dash time attribute on it. Now let's console log those time nodes. Okay, we've got a bunch of list items. Now what I want to do is I want to turn this from a node list into an array of actual time strings. So you might think, okay, well, we'll do this. Const, let's just say seconds equals time nodes.map. And for each one, we are going to take the node and we're going to return the node.dataset.time. So watch what's going to error out in here. Time nodes.map is not a function. So map is not a function of time nodes. Why is that? I thought it was an array. Let's see it again. Time nodes looks like an array, walks like an array, but it's not. It's a node list. And if you open up the prototype, we have a for each, which we could use, but it's not as clean. So what we want to do is convert this sucker from a node list into an array. And there are two ways. You could spread it into a new array, or you can run array.from around the entire thing. And now when we loop over it, we should have our seconds variable, which is now going to be an array of all of the times. Good. So what I did there is I took the time nodes and I mapped it, which means I made it from an array of list items and into an array of strings. Good. Now what I want to do is turn that into just seconds. Okay. So we're going to map it into, and that is going to give us the time code. And from that, we are going to split it, because if we have a string like this, I want to break that into minutes and seconds. So let me show you an example here. I might say something like string.split, and we split it on the colon, and that will give us the first thing is going to be the minutes, and the second thing will be the seconds. So what we can do is we can use ES6 destructuring there, where they say const mins sex is equal to timecode.split. And we'll split it on that. Okay, so let's see where that gets us. We want to console log the mins and the secs. And you see that we've got a 5, 43, 2. Okay, good. We've got them into their own variables. However, they're black. And what that tells me is that they are strings. And if we want to do any sort of math, because what we're going to be doing here is we're going to return the mins plus the minutes times 60 and plus the seconds. And if we take a look at our seconds array here, you'll see that these are way bigger than they should be. 047, that's not a number. And that's because when we split that string off of it, it's still going to be a string. So if I take something like a string of 6, 10, and I split it, each of the 6 and the 10 are still strings. So what can we do? We could just map over that array real quick, and you could pass it parse float. And what that will do is it's going to run the parse float function against every item in the result array. And that's going to return to us a actual array of numbers. So we're going to split and then right away map that into parse float. And that's the same thing as doing this function stir and then returning parse float stir. But because we're just running this, it doesn't make sense to run a function. You can just pass it the function directly, and it will call that function against every item in that array. Good. So what do we got here? Let's look at our seconds. Good. We've got an array of seconds. The first one is 343 seconds. Second one is 47 seconds. Let's double check that right here. The first one is that. It looks good. The fourth one is 47 seconds. Good. So our numbers are all adding up. Now we want to add them together. So how would I do that? Well, reduce is a really good way. So if map takes in an array and exports an array, a reduce will take in an array and return anything you want. It could be a number, it could be a string, could be an object. In our case, we are going to take all of these numbers and reduce them down into one big number. So we'll call dot reduce, and that will give us each, we'll call that a total and seconds. And from that, we are going to return the total plus the seconds. And of course, we can make that a nice little tidy arrow function. We just do it in one line. So by the way, this seconds is not the same as the seconds. If you wanted to rename that to something like vid seconds, just so you don't confuse yourself, go for it. Good. Now let's see what our main seconds variable is at. Okay, good. We've got the total number of seconds for every single video added together. Good. I'm nice and happy with that. Now what we need to do with this seconds variable here is we need to chop it down into hours, minutes, and seconds. So I'm going to create a variable that's sort of going to be a running tally of seconds left, because we're going to just start chipping away at the hours and minutes and seconds. So we'll say let seconds left equals seconds. Then we make our hours is going to be equal to, normally we do something like this. Seconds left divided by 3600. And what that will do, if I save it, we look at how many hours we have 4.9 hours, but we don't care about the 0.9. So what we can do is we can just grab the lower limit of that. We only care about whole hours. The 0.9 is going to make itself into seconds and minutes. So wrap it in a math.floor. And that's going to tell us that we have 4 whole hours. Now, seconds left is equal to, how do we figure that out? It was like 0.9. So does that mean there's like 90 seconds left? No, it doesn't matter, because math is 100 based and minutes are 60 based. So how do we figure that out? Well, what we can do is we take the seconds left and we use mod 3600. Now, what does mod do? Let's do a little quick aside lesson. If I've got a box of Smarties, and in that box I have 10 Smarties. Now, I have 5 children, so I'm going to divide that by 5. How many Smarties does each kid have? 2. Every kid gets 2 Smarties. Good. But what if I opened up a box and lo and behold, there was 11 Smarties? Well, there's only 5 kids, so how many Smarties does each kid get? 2.2 Smarties. There's no way you're gonna. Oh, by the way, if you're not Canadian, a Smartie is like a M&M. It's like a little chocolate treat. So there's no way you're gonna cut a little Smartie up into 0.2 pieces. So what we're only concerned with is how many whole Smarties is each kid gonna get. Math.floor. So each kid is gonna get 2 whole Smarties. Good. But now what we want to know, and that's what we've done right here. But now what we want to do is we want to figure out how many Smarties are left for dad, because I get to eat whatever cannot be evenly distributed between all the kids. So what we have is 11 Smarties mod 5, and that's going to return to us 1. Why 1? Because what mod does is it says how many are left after they've been evenly distributed. So after each kid gets 2, there's going to be 1 left. Same thing if I have 5 oranges and I divide them by 2 kids, there's going to be 1 left because it doesn't tell us. And let's do a seconds example. If I have 73 seconds and I divide that by 60 seconds, we clearly have 1 whole minute. Math.floor shows us 1 whole minute. But what is that 0.2 seconds? That's not 20 seconds because that's a percentage. So 73 mod 60 will tell us that after we chunk it out into 1 whole minute, we have 13 seconds left. That's exactly what we're doing here. After we chunk it into the hours, we are going to have this many seconds left. So let's console log seconds left. Oh, seconds. There we go. So we have 3,538 seconds left. So we can go ahead and do minutes now. Const mins equals, we'll do the same thing, math.floor. Take the seconds left, and we'll divide that by 60 because there are 60 seconds in a minute. And then we update our seconds left variable just like we did here, but instead we use 60. And this is why I use let up here because we need to reassign this value over and over. So console log hours in minutes, 4 hours, 58 minutes. And then we can just use the seconds left because that's what's left at the end of the day. There's no need to convert it. So we have our seconds left variable. So 4 hours, 58 minutes, and 58 seconds. You can test that. You can take this one that's 4:04 and change it to 4:06. And if you refresh, it will show you 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 0 seconds left. So that's how I would do it. You could also, I've done this into map, and reduce, just so I can show you what we're doing in every step of the time. But if you really understand what's going on here, this could be all done in a single reduce. You take in this array of nodes, you convert the data set dot time into minutes and seconds. You convert that then into seconds. Then you convert that into whole number of seconds once you have the number, and then finally add it all together. So it's up to you whether you do it in one shot or make it a little bit more readable and chunk it into separate ones. And that allows you to write little comments above each of them. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'll see you tomorrow.